Alors, voilà, j'ai été agressée chez moi. Je crois que j'ai été violée.
Violée?
Mon Dieu.
En vrai? Quand ça?
Jeudi à 3 h.
Et t'as rien dit?
Hey, I'm Christopher John Farley, a senior editor at the Wall Street Journal. My guest today, Isabelle Huppert, who is the star of the new film Elle. Thanks for coming to the Wall Street Journal.
Thank you. Hello.
Okay, you've done over 100 films and TV productions, and now you've scored your first Oscar nomination for Best Actress for Elle. Walk me through when you found out, how you found out, and how you felt.
I felt so happy. I was alone in my dressing room. I'm filming a new film right now in France, and it was lunch break, and I got this call from Michael Barker from Sony Classic Picture, who told me I was nominated. I was very touched. I felt very grateful for that nomination because it meant a lot about the attention they brought to the film. It meant a lot for Paul Verhoeven, the director. It meant a lot for the film. I mean, I'm very proud of that film, and it means a lot to me.
Now, you already won the Best Actress Drama at the Golden Globes. It was a surprise to some people because there's some other bigger budget films that people expected to maybe come home with that prize, but you won. Were you surprised?
I was surprised because we won twice. Paul Verhoeven won for Best Foreign Film, and I won for Best Actress. Well, let's say I wasn't surprised that the Golden Globe people were able, at the capacity again, to bring this kind of attention to this type of movies. I mean, their choices cover a very, very large range of artistic and creative proposals. But of course, it's always a surprise when you win, and it's very rare for a French-speaking actress to win. And I won against wonderful actresses, and so yeah, I was very happy and very surprised. Yeah. I've never taken anything like that for granted. First of all,
yeah, very few actresses who are not acting in English have ever been nominated for Oscar acting awards, and even fewer have actually won. Why do you think your performance in Elle has broken through at the Oscars?
I'm still wondering why, because it's, well, obviously people like my performance and they like the film, but, you know, it's a French film. It deals with a edgy subject matter, and the wonderful thing about it is that apparently people got the film where it is, which for me is a combination of so many things together, so many layers to that story, if you can call it a story. And it's, but on top of it, I think there is a great integrity to that story. There is a great depth. It's sometimes very funny. It's also a thriller. It's very provocative. But on top of it, I think it's also an exploration of a woman's journey into something very, that normally it's difficult to speak about, which deals with, could be the most unconfessable parts of a woman's psyche: sexuality, desire, attraction to violence. But not only that, because the film covers so many parts of this woman's life. She's a little bit of everything, and she's very complete. She's a mother, she's a woman of power, she's an ex-wife, she's a lover. She is so many things together. So I think that's maybe what attracted people to that vision of that woman.
Dealt with some edgy subject matter. Of course, Elle, you play the title character. She's a woman who is sexually assaulted, and she goes looking for the man that did it. He may or may not be in her circle somewhere. But it's about more than that. It takes some twists and turns. I've seen people refer to it as some sort of revenge film, but it's more than that. And you've called it post-feminist. Why did you use that term to describe it?
Because, as you said, you know, some people called it a revenge film, and you said also it's more than that. So I think that's the reason I called her post-feminist, because she, of course, obviously she has a plan. She, in her own way, wants to take revenge, but she does it. She doesn't want to be a victim, but she does not do it either according to a male pattern, like taking the gun and shooting the guy. She's some kind of somehow in between female and male identity of herself, and so she doesn't need to be that aggressive in her fight against him. You know, that's why maybe I call her post-feminist. It's like she already won certain fights before, and so she can allow herself to be strong but weak, fragile but woman of power. She can allow herself. She doesn't want to prove something more than this.
Now, the men in this movie are sort of the biggest collection of losers I've ever seen. I mean, your husband, he's kind of a wimp. He's a failed writer. Your lover, he's kind of a jerk too. Your son in this movie, he's dating someone who's very overpowering and dominates him. But why are the men such losers in this film? Is it trying to say something about modern masculinity?
Obviously, it does, you know. But the movie says so many things, but it doesn't say it. Underlying things, you know, you have to. It's likely to everybody to give your own interpretation. But obviously, the film shows facts, and the fact is that you have stronger women and weaker men. Although there is no contempt for these men, except maybe for one, the lover. You know, yes, you may have a little contempt for him. He's not so glorious, but all the other men are rather touching, and there might be like a fading. Idols from, I don't know, a past time where men knew how to handle their power and that might not be able to behave in front of this, you know, new generation of women's empowerment. It could be. I mean, everything in the movie, you know, Paul Verhoeven manages to throw ideas, throw bridges also between the facts. He also voluntarily leaves gap in that story that it's likely to anybody to fill up those gaps and give your own interpretations. So it's also what I like about the film. It raises a lot of questioning without giving closed explanations. It's more giving informations, and then meantime you can, yes, draw your own conclusions to it.
C'est quoi ça?
Ah, vous êtes un très mauvais catholique, vous connaissez pas le rite d'excommunication?
Et vous, oui?
J'en ai entendu parler, oui. Mon père me faisait toujours le signe de croix comme ça, avant d'aller à l'école. Il le faisait d'ailleurs à tous les enfants du quartier. Mais il y a des parents qui ont fini par lui demander d'arrêter.
Ça peut se comprendre.
Oui, enfin, mon père, apparemment, il l'a mal pris. Hein. Il a fait sa tournée ce soir-là. Il a frappé à toutes les portes. Il est rentré dans toutes les maisons du quartier, avec un fusil à pompe, un marteau de boucher et une paire de couteaux de cuisine.
Oui, je crois que j'ai déjà entendu parler de cette histoire.
Ah oui, mais vous avez entendu parler des 27 victimes humaines, mais vous n'êtes pas au courant pour les animaux.
Now, of course, as we said, you've got an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for this film, but I've read that about 5 or 6 other actresses, top actresses, turned down this part. Why do you think they did that, and why did you decide to accept it, even though you might have known that other women had turned it down?
Well, this is Paul's little comment, you know, about the fact that he says that, yes, he offered it to, I don't know. I don't want to know anything about it because I just want to jump to the conclusion, which is that I was attached to the project from the very beginning, and that's fate, you know. I mean, the movie had to end up being done by me, and the movie had to be French, and that's how it ended up, so it's fine.
Now, I'm very interested in your process as an actress, because I keep hearing that you're not someone who's about preparation. You prefer to sort of live in the moment. When you're in the moment, when you're in character and the cameras are rolling, what are you looking for in that moment to know that the performance is true?
Well, I believe in the present time in doing movies. It's all about the present time. It's a matter of, it's a great concentration also. It's to really withdraw yourself from reality and completely immerse yourself into the reality of the story that you are supposed to say. But there is nothing to predict for that, and there is nothing to prepare. And I do believe that you have. When you make films, you have to believe in a certain ignorance that you have. When you are about to do a film, you have to ignore things. I mean, ignorance for me is you are rich of your ignorance. You don't miss something by being ignorant, and I like that. I usually, I mean, when I started that film, I had no idea what I was going to do, and day by day, just before I did it, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just did it because the situation itself tells me how to do it. You know, I mean, and the film has its own. Generate his own pace, his own story by itself. So you just have to let yourself being carried by each situation every day. And of course, by the mise en scène, by what Paul Verhoeven imagined with his camera around me.
So what's next for you after Elle? What other films do you have in the works?
I just started a new film now in France with French director Benoît Jacot, with whom I did a number of films already. This is my 6th film with him, and it's a remake of a film by Joseph Losey, Eva, based on a James Hadley Chase book.
Well, great. Well, the film is Elle. Isabelle Huppert, thanks for coming to the Wall Street Journal. I appreciate it, and good luck at the Oscars.
Thank you.